Hello everybody, welcome to the second day of Selenium IDE training. In the first day, we had seen very basic functionality of IDE and how to record, run stuff and basic commands, targets, and we saw about values, XPaths and all, right? So, and we also made this small login test, right? In this, we logged into the application salesforce.com. Okay. In the whole course, I had told you we would be automating the 5 test cases. The first one we have done, login test, but we have not parameterized it. We will do it later on in the course. Right. Now, we will be starting with user extensions and all today. Okay. But in order to move further with the test cases, but first you need to learn JavaScript. Okay, you need to have a fair idea of what is actually JavaScript and how it can be used. Right. So for that, you go to Google, and I would request you to spend at least 1 hour on JavaScript after the lecture. Okay, I'll tell you where you can learn about it. It is more or less same as Java. In the first 8 modules of this course, right, we learned about Java, right? Okay, and JavaScript is similar to Java. Okay, what's the difference? The difference is that the JavaScript is executed at the client side. Okay, sometimes you, for example, you see a pop-up like this coming up. Okay, this pop-up is the JavaScript pop-up. It's not IE pop-up. It is JavaScript. There is a script running behind the screen inside the page which executes at the client side. That is JavaScript. Okay, what is Java then? What's the difference in Java and JavaScript? The Java code actually gets executed at the server. Okay, when I click on this go, or when I enter my username and password here and I click on go, a request is sent to the server. On that server the code is executed. Maybe that code is the Java code for this website. But JavaScript is something which is executed in the client browser. Okay, and in Selenium IDE, okay, this is the Selenium IDE. All these commands and all, the implementation of these commands has been done in JavaScript. Okay, that is basically what I mean to say is that the main engine for Selenium, okay, this is IDE. Alright, inside this, the core part, that is the basic engine for Selenium, it is made in JavaScript. All these commands, whatever you have used in your IDE, the implementation of these commands is in JavaScript. So if you want to make your own command, or if you want to extend the features of Java, that is, you want to extend the core engine of IDE which you require at times, okay, you need to know JavaScript. Okay, and it's not a difficult thing, it's a very easy thing. You can just learn it in 1 hour. All you have to do is you have to go to Google and type JavaScript tutorial. If you have done first module 7 very, if you are strong at first 7 modules of Java which I had taught earlier, then JavaScript you would find it to be very easy. Okay, now this is a JavaScript tutorial. Out here they have got various topics on the left side. Okay, so the topics which I have highlighted, alright, if you just study these ones, your work will be done. Okay, it is very easy. Arrays and all, date, string, for, loop, if statements, switch statements, it is very easy. Okay, I'll give around 15-20 minutes to JavaScript now. I'll tell you some commands of JavaScript and all. Okay, so you need an editor to write the JavaScript code. You don't write the JavaScript code in Eclipse. I don't prefer, like, it's a bit difficult to execute it. Download something known as Edit Plus editor. Okay, you go to Java, you go to Google and type download edit plus. It is a good editor for JavaScript. Okay. Okay, you can download it from here and install it on your machine. So this is Edit Plus. You open it. I'm using the trial version. Alright. So now you can go to File menu on the top and type New HTML page. Okay, why am I making an HTML page? Because HTML page is something which can be executed, in which JavaScript can be executed. Sorry for that. In HTML page, you can execute your JavaScript. Okay, so this is the basic HTML page. Now, what is this? Okay, it starts with the tag HTML and closes over here. Okay, it's got a head and the title. This is the title of your document, HTML document. I will make it Learn Selenium IDE. Okay, IDE, RC, Webdriver. Okay, I have given the title of my page as this. I will save this page, Control S. I'll save it as selenium.html on my desktop. Okay, so when I see this is the HTML page. In this you can execute JavaScript, which we will be doing in some time. Alright, when you open this, it opens in the browser. HTML page opens in a browser. Okay, so now going over here, inside the body tags you can write anything. For example, I can write we are learning Selenium. Okay, and when you open this HTML file, you will it will look like this. So this is how developers they code at their end when they are making web pages. Although it's quite complex than this, but yes, this is the very basic. Fine. Now, how do I include JavaScript inside this HTML page? Okay, you simply write. You have to give the tag script. Okay, inside the head tags, I'm giving the tag script, and I'll close this tag script. Okay, and out here I will write alert in double quotes. Hello, how are you? Okay, give a semicolon in the end. Alert is the, like in core Java, what we used to do in all the 7 modules, we used to write system.out.println, right? Alert is similar to system.out.println. Okay, now when I will open my page, I will get this alert box. Many of you must have seen this. Okay, this is a pop-up alert box. This comes in like this. This comes through JavaScript. Okay, if you have to declare a variable in JavaScript, you can write var x equals to 13. It is similar to Java. Some syntax is different. Var x equals to 13, then x will become 13. Okay, I can also declare a function. I can write function. Okay, function sum. Okay, this function will take 2 numbers. Okay, this function will take 2 numbers as input variables. We had seen earlier in Java, right, that in functions you can pass in parameters. Similarly, while writing JavaScript code, you can write functions which can accept input arguments. For example, this function will accept an integer a, integer b, and it will print the sum of a plus b like this. So when you write sum bracket 3 comma 6, okay, and you run this code, that is, you open the HTML page, You should get that function alert. Just a minute, I'm making some mistake. Some error is coming. Okay, firstly, spelling mistake, funci function, and you don't have to write int and int over here. In JavaScript, you can simply write a comma b. 3 will go in a, 4 will go in b, and when you run this now, if I open this thing, hello, how are you, and after that, I get the sum, that is 7 for a, and that is the sum of the numbers which are passed over to it. Okay, so you can make functions, you can do coding in JavaScript, and that will be executed at the client side. So the engine of IDE is made in this JavaScript. So I would really request you guys to go to that site, WC Schools, and spend 1 hour on JavaScript. Otherwise, if you just move on with this tutorial, it will be difficult, right? You have to learn JavaScript, right? If you know Java, if you have attended the previous modules very carefully, then this thing will be very easy for you, right? Okay, now let us go and have a look at the core part of IDE. They have made it public, obviously open source. Selenium is open source. They have made the core part as available in the market as well. I've stored it in the bookmarks. This is the link. Fine. So this is the core part of IDE. Okay, I'll be uploading this link on my website as well. You can actually go there and look at it. This is the core part of IDE made by ThoughtWorks. So they have made a lot of functions in it. For example, selenium.prototype.doType equals to function locator comma new text. What is this line meaning? What does this line mean? This line means that there is a function called type. Type function will come in the drop down of IDE. That is, in this IDE, I have a command called type. This type command is coming because whosoever implemented the core part of IDE, he made this function over here, selenium.prototype.doType equals to function locator comma new text. Locator is the value coming over from the target. Locator means the X path or the identification property of the object, and the new text is the value, that is the value which you need to type. Okay, so for each and every of these commands, you have in IDE core, you have got functions, right? Like do go back. This will simulate the browser back button. So you remove the do and just type go back, you will get this command. Okay, all these commands are starting from do over here in the core implementation, right? So this means that you can extend the core by writing your own functions like these, which we will be doing in some time. Right? There are situations in which you need to write your own customized functions depending on the type of application you are automating using IDE. Right? So, fine. Alright. So this is about basic JavaScript. Okay. Now let us see how can we extend the features of IDE. Right. I'm gonna make a new test, right? Now out here in IDE, you cannot have you don't have features like if statements and while loops, right? But yes, you can use extensions or plugins which have been made by somebody else. That is, I'll explain you with the diagram. This is IDE. Fine. Now somebody came and extended that IDE and provided a plugin. Okay. This plugin can be moved into IDE. This plugin is nothing but this plugin will be having some extra JavaScript functions, okay, which have been made over the core. Okay, these can be included in the IDE. You can make your own JavaScript functions to extend the code, to customize it as per your convenience, or you can use the extensions, the hundreds of extensions which are available in market, and those extensions have been made by very smart people, right? So similarly, to implement while loops and if statements, people have made extensions, right? So I will use that extension. You get that extension from the Selenium site itself. Okay, you go to Google and type Selenium documentation. The if statements and while loops are not in the core of IDE. There is no function called do while over here. There is no command for executing a while loop. Okay, so we can use this thing in Selenium IDE documentation. They have this one IDE, yeah, this one, sequence of evaluation and flow control. Okay, you can go here and yeah, so this is the extension, the JS extension. JS.js is nothing but a JavaScript file. Okay, you can go to this link, click on page over here, and you will get this small blog from somebody, and you can click on this link over here, flow control extension, and okay, wait a minute, you can stay in time, you can scroll down and go to this link. Right, okay, you can download this extension from here. You download the zip file. Okay, so once you have downloaded it, you save it, and this is the zip file. Okay, I already have it with me. Okay, I have extracted it over here. Okay, inside it there will be a JS file. Okay, side flow.js. Okay, I will copy this file and I will move it over to my D drive. You don't need other two things. Okay, you just move it to D drive, my Salesforce, and I'll save it over here. Okay, now you open this file in Edit Plus. Okay, open this in Edit Plus, right? So you will get this. This is a file having lot of functions inside it. Like one of the things is selenium.prototype.do-while. So what this will do, a while command will come in the drop down, and inside it he has given the implementation, whosoever made this extension. Okay, now you have to tell Selenium that include this extension in the IDE. Okay, there is a core part which is always there in IDE. Apart from that, I want to enhance IDE, I want to add some features into it so that the command while, which is the command while should come over in this drop down. Okay, so for that you have to go to options over here, and okay, I will delete this one. I already have it added actually, right? Right now, see, when I type while over here, okay, 1 minute. Fine. Right, you go to option and browse for that JS file. Okay, browse for this slideflow.js. Generally, the name which we give to this JS file is user extensions. This is a market standard. Okay, that you name this file as user extensions. That is, if you look at the IDE, then over here it is written Selenium core extensions user extensions.js. Okay, so you have to name it user extensions.js, right? You can name it anything, but this is a market, this is standard convention which is there in the market, right? Now you go to your IDE and you go to options, format, browse for this user extensions.js, which is over here under the Salesforce folder, and give the path over here, click on OK. Right? Now after that, you need to restart your IDE. After including the JS file, you need to restart. So I will restart my IDE. And now the JS file, all the features from this JS file are included. Okay, the while loop, I can write a while loop here. I can do anything. Okay, but before implementing the while loop and all, you need to get familiarized with the concept of variables and all, the echo command and all in IDE. That is, suppose if I use the command store. Okay, store, and in the target I write the number 1000 and value as B. So what will happen is that in IDE 1000 will be stored inside B. Okay, now if you want to print the value of B, right, so what you need to do is you need to give another command called echo. Now you cannot just write echo B. If I just write echo B and run the code, then in the log B will be printed as it is. You have to write echo, and in the target you have to write dollar curly braces, inside the curly braces B. So when you run this now, you see this 1000 gets printed. Okay, now what happens internally behind the scenes, this store command is not an extension, it is in the core part of IDE, right? Now behind the scenes there is an array. We studied about arrays in module 2, right? Okay, that array holds all the variables which you store in your script. Suppose I write the store command 10 times. Okay, store 1000 B, then store 2000 in a variable C, store 3000 in a variable D. Okay, all these variables will be stored in a inbuilt array. Okay, and the name of that array is stored vars. Okay, I repeat, the name of that array is stored vars. STOREDVARS. Always remember, this is a very important concept. Stored vars is an array in which actually the value of 1000, the value of B is stored. B is actually stored. Okay, so I can also, if I have to retrieve the value from that particular array, I don't have to write this command echo $B. Okay, I have to access that array, right? So what I have to write echo. Okay, after that in target, suppose I write STOR stored vars V capital stored vars bracket, in single quotes you write the value of your variable. That is, from the stored vars, get the variable b. From the array, get the variable b. When I run this code, clear the logs and run the code, the value of variable is not printed. Okay, stored vars just gets printed as it is. Okay, so actually what you need to do, you need to write the syntax like this: JavaScript curly braces and then the stored vars. That means stored vars is an array which is inside the JavaScript of core. Okay, from that get the value of b, right? So when I run this, it prints 1000 again. So to print the value of b, the crux is to print the value of b or to access the value of b. There are two ways. Okay, now suppose I have to put the value of b inside another variable called c. Alright, so for that the command will be store again. In target I will write $b inside another variable c. Okay, and in the next line if I write echo the value of the variable c. Okay, echo the value of the variable c, and I run the code. Again the value of c is printed as 1000. I can also write echo the I can also write like this: value of c is $curly braces c. Okay, so when I run this, value of c is 1000, right? Again run this, value of c is 1000. Okay, so you can transfer value from one variable to another variable like this. Now again, if I have to use this thing to transfer, I have to use stored vars. Okay, that is, I want to directly write stored vars and transfer the variable into another variable d. Okay, so you can use the command store again and so in the stored vars I want to access the value of b, right, and store it in a variable d. Okay, and I write over here echo the value of the variable d. Okay, so when I run this thing now, it never prints the value of b, it directly prints stored vars b. So the solution is the same one. You have to, when you are accessing the stored vars variable, you have to write this. Okay, this is one thing. Or you can also write, if you don't want to write the JavaScript bracket command, you can use another command called store eval. Store eval, and now can directly refer the stored variable b. Okay, and store the value in variable e, and you can write echo the value of the variable e. Right, now when I run this code, see this prints 1000 in the end. So there are two ways to access stored vars array. Okay, now suppose I have to increase the value of b by 1 or 10 and store it in another variable. Okay, that is, I want to store the value of b, that is b plus 1, okay, or 10 in another variable called f. And on the next line I want to print the value echo the value of the variable f, right? Now when I run this code, in the end this gets printed 1000 plus 10. Okay, this is because it takes b as a string and concatenates 10 into it. The correct syntax would be to write new number and give b in it. You need to create an object of inbuilt JavaScript class called number. We had seen creating objects in module 2, right? You have to write new number given the value of b in it plus 10. Okay. Now when you run this code, it prints again that new number 1000 plus 10. Now this is not what we actually wanted. We wanted that output should be 1010. Now new number is actually a JavaScript command. Okay, so you need to include this in a tag called JavaScript like this. Okay, you have to write JavaScript because new number is a JavaScript command, so it will be executed like this. Now when you run this, I get an exception, right? Now this is like I expected this to come. There's a reason behind this. Instead of making this so complex, okay, you can simply use the command store eval again. Okay, you can use the command store eval and just write in it you want to add 10 into the stored var b plus 10. Okay, and write new number over here. This will work. That is, whatever stored var array is returning, it will return you a string. With the help of few numbers, we will convert that string into an integer and add 10 into that, right? And when you run this now, in the end, see, it prints the added number. Okay, now this thing we will be using in our extensions. While using a while loop, you have to have a variable whose value you need to increase. Okay, so you will have to use this stuff over there, right? So I'll make a new test and I will demonstrate the usage of while loop in that. Okay, now I can write the command while, okay, and give the target. Now target has to be some condition. So first of all, I will store a value in a variable, right? I will store 1 in a variable called I, right? In the next line, I will give the command while, okay, the value of I, that is $I is less than 10, while the value of I is less than 10, okay, what I will do is I will write the command echo, that is go ahead and print value of I is $I, right? And in the next line, I will increase the value of I by 1 and store it in I itself. I equals to I plus 1 or I plus plus, which we used to do in our normal Java code. Okay, so I will use the command store eval. Okay, I need to add one to the variable I. So I'll write new number from the stored var array, get the variable I, right, and add one to it and store it in I itself. Okay, and in the end I will write the command end while. Now this while and end while, I can see them because I have included this extension which is having these functions while and end while into my IDE. I have included these functions. So when I run this code now, let me go to log and clear the log, and I will slow down the execution. Okay, when I run this, see, value of I is 1, after that value of I is 2. So you can slide it and you can increase the execution speed as well. You see that the speed is increasing now and now it is slowing down. So you can increase or decrease the script speed in between the script as well. Okay. Some people think that writing a while loop and all is not at all possible inside the Selenium IDE. We will be using this while loop when we will be parameterizing our test cases. Okay, that is when we use this test data.xml. Okay, in this XML file I have all the test cases and the data and all. Then I will parameterize my test. I will actually use a loop and I will parameterize everything. Okay. Now another thing, like as I was talking, many people think that it's not possible to write this and all. They are wrong. You can do anything in the Selenium IDE. IDE is using the Selenium core. It interacts with the core of Selenium directly. Okay, you can do anything with it. You can use your own. You can even write your own extensions. Out here, I took an extension which was built by somebody else. Okay, I can write one more function of my own over here. I can write selenium.prototype.do print, okay, give the P as capital, okay, print name, okay, do print name, and inside it I will give the JavaScript command which we just added, that alert subject name is Selenium, right? So I have used this command alert subject name is Selenium, and I'm going to save this file. And to make the change reflect, if I write over here print name now, nothing will come. In order to make the change reflect, I need to close my IDE. I'm not going to save these tests, okay, and I will open the IDE once more. File, open, and you can open or not open, yeah, out here, sorry, you just need to write print now. It should come. Okay, that function is not coming. Alright, okay, I did a mistake. Actually, I am incorporating this file, user extensions.js. Okay, I need to open this and add the function in this. I added the function in slideflow.js, I guess. Right. The file which you have incorporated with Selenium, you need to change that one. This is the file which is being the file user extension.js. This is the file which I have included in my IDE. and I actually ended up doing changes in some other file. Okay, now you restart your IDE again, close the IDE and start it again. Now when I write print over here, you see that I get the command print name, as well as Selenium IDE. What it does, it includes one more command called print name and weight. Okay, we have seen the concept of click and wait yesterday, right? So the concept is same as that. Okay, so if your page is refreshing as soon as you are printing your name or something, you can use print name and wait. Alright, so when you run this, you see that this alert box comes up. So I have actually implemented my own command in Selenium IDE. I have incorporated a new command in Selenium IDE. Okay, so now let us do a small example to get the knowledge of this thing in depth, right? That is, suppose I'll take up an example that I need to go to the site Gmail and try to register a user. Fine. And in the desired login name input box, I need to generate a random email ID and print it. Okay. I need to make, that means I need to make a function inside this. Okay. I need to make a function called do generate random email. Okay, that function will accept input type as locator. Locator, that is the XPath of the input box in which the username has to be written, right? And this function will type in a random email ID in this input box, right? Okay, so I will put an alert box over here, alert starting to generate a random email ID. Alright, starting to generate a random email ID. Okay, I will close my IDE and start it again to make sure that the reflections in the code in user extensions are reflected over here. That's the problem. Whenever you change the user extensions, you need to restart the IDE, open the old test case and all and start. There's no workaround for this. You have to do that, right? Now, if I write generate random email and wait, two commands would be here. Okay, in the target, I have to pass on something. If I run this, it will print starting to generate a random email ID. Okay, but in the target, I have to send the locator, that is the XPath of this input box in which I need to type in the random email ID. Okay, so I go to tools and open my Firebug and get the XPath of this box. This is the XPath of this input box and I type in this. Okay, now if I go back to my JavaScript file, out here I will give the command selenium dot, okay, Selenium object. We studied the object oriented programming, right, in module 2. Okay, the same thing, Selenium is an inbuilt object inside this. It gets initiated from the core and you can use the Selenium object in the extensions. Okay, and you can use all the functions from the core. using this object, that is all these functions. For example, I can use the function dot do type. I can write selenium dot do type. I can pass on the locator and the text which has to be written in that. Okay, so I will write selenium dot do type. Okay, do type is the function from the core which I am calling from my extension with the help of selenium object, which gets instantiated from the core. You don't have to worry how this is getting instantiated. Okay, I pass in the locator, that is the place where I have to write the email ID, comma, and I will hard code the email ID for time being. I'll give my email ID, that is uttselenium@gmail.com, right? And I will restart my IDE. Okay, I'll go to my tools, IDE. Now if I give the command generate random email address and I get the extra from here and pass on this to the function, run this, and you see that out here in the input box I have the email ID automatically written. So I'm actually using the JavaScript over here to input the email ID in the box. Okay, now I want to input a random email ID. I want to generate a random email ID and write it in this box. Okay, now this is quite simple. Okay, the logic for that, I have already made the logic. 1 minute. I will put that logic here. I'll comment out this alert box. Okay, and I'll put this logic here, and I'll just explain you the logic. Okay, I'm using a command called math.random over here. Math is a inbuilt class which has got a random function which generates a random number. Okay, and I have a variable called allowed characters in which I have written A to Z. I have written A to Z characters, and where string length 8. That means that this string holds the length of the email ID which I want. Okay, then I have declared a random string. Currently I am keeping it blank, and now using this for loop and the features of math.random function, okay, I have generated a random email address, right? And I am appending, after generating a random email, I am running this for loop 8 times till the length of the string. That means till, and I'm at this, the logic inside this for loop, each time it runs, it will pick up a random letter from the allowed chars variable. Okay, so now after that, sorry. After what I do, I take this all the variables, I append it in the random string, and in the end I'll type the random string into the input box. Okay, if you don't understand this, not a problem, go and study the JavaScript for 1 hour. If you don't understand this logic, not a problem. Okay, go there on W3 schools, give 1 hour to JavaScript, you will understand that. It's a piece of cake. Okay, if you have done module 7, if you have been sincere till module 7, then this is very, very, very simple. Okay, so now when I restart my IDE, because I have changed my file, okay, I will restart the IDE, and now when I run this code, I'll write generate random email and I will pass on the XPath of this input box and run the code. You see that a random email address has been entered into this input box. So the main thing is JavaScript. Okay, fine. Now let us do one more example. Okay, for example, I'll go to the site. This is an interesting one, and it will also help you out a lot. Okay, timesofindia.com. Okay, it's a news website on India. Okay, out here I have got this puzzle or a question that in this input box I need to write the sum of two numbers 8 and 4. Whenever I refresh my page, these two numbers they change. Okay, so using Selenium, what I need to do is I need to add these two numbers, and whatever the result is, I need to write it into this input box. Okay, now let's try and do this example. Fine. Right, I'll make a new test, and in this new test I will write the logic. That is, first of all, the first and foremost thing is, right, I will have to extract this text from the application. Okay, if I use my Firebug, I can get the XPath of this text. This is the XPath of the text. That is, the ID is mathq2. Right? Now I can use the command store text. Instead of text store command, I will use the command store text. So store text can extract the text from the application and store it into a variable. Right? So you can use store text command and give the target as the XPath of this text. That is, this is the text. This is the XPath. Right, and I want to store it into a variable called addition, right, and okay, and in the next line I will give the command echo the value of target. Okay. The target is $addition. Remember, we did this a few minutes back. You store a value from a variable. You how to print a value from a variable. So store text can actually bring a value from one variable and put it into another. From the application and put it into a variable. Okay. When I run this code, I clear the logs. I will run the code. So this prints 0 plus 3. So that means I have extracted the text. Right? Okay. Now I want to break this text, extract the numbers, and write the result into the inbox. Okay. So what I will do is, I will not use store text over here. I just demonstrated the usage of store text to you so that you know what it does. Okay, but I will make an inbuilt function. I will make an inbuilt function called, in the extensions I make a function called do calculate sum. Will accept the variable, that is, it will not accept anything. Okay. This function is not going to accept anything. Okay, right? So, and in this function, I will write variable. Okay, if I write alert, I'll just start from the basic. I write in function. I'll just write this much, and I will save this test. as Times of India, close my IDE, open it again, go to File, open the test Times of India, right? Now what I have done is I have stored whatever the variable value, whatever the value was there at this XPath, I have stored it inside the addition variable. This I told you earlier that behind the scenes the addition variable is actually stored inside an array called stored vars. I was using stored vars, right? That stored vars is an array in which the value addition is, in which the value of the variable addition is stored. Okay, so you can actually use the array directly in this function. You can also use that array inside this function, inside the extension. All you need to write is that you need to write alert, okay, and stored vars. You directly access the stored vars array over here like this, and you name the variable addition. Okay. Now restart your IDE again. I restarted it last time unnecessarily, but right. You restart it again, and you give the command calculate sum in the end. That is, I first stored the value at that the text value at this XPath into the addition variable. I have echoed that, and now I am calling the calculate sum function. Inside the calculate sum function, I need to access the value of the variable addition. So I access it with the help of stored vars array. Okay. Now when I run this prints in function first. Then 0 plus 3 is right now in that array. Okay. When I refresh my page, the addition numbers, okay, they change. When the addition numbers they change, right, and I run the code again, the updated value is retrieved from the application, because the value is actually being retrieved from the XPath. ID equals to math question 2. I'll run it again. See, the number is now 1 plus 4. It has changed. Right? So now inside the calculate sum function would be responsible for calculating the sum of these two numbers and writing it into this input box. Okay, so I will write over here, I'll comment out this alert. This was just for our provisioning. I'll write var text equals to this. Okay, now text will hold a number like 2 space plus space 4 equals to. So this is the kind of number which we are getting in the application. 2 space plus space 4. Now remember the split function in the module 7, I told you about string functions, and I told you about the split function. You got to use that split function here. That is, you need to break this string into parts. Okay, I will write over here split the variable text on the basis of a blank space. So what this will do, this will break the whole string on the basis of blank space. It will separate out 2, it will separate out 1, it will separate out 4 and equals to, and put them in a temporary array called ARR. I will name my array ARR. Alright. Now if I write alert ARR0, that is the 0th element of this array, there will be 4 elements in the array. At the 0th index 2 will be present, at the first index plus will be present, at the second index 4th will be present, and at the third index equals to will be present. Okay, so this will hold 2, this will hold plus, this will hold 4, and this will hold equal to. I need to add the 0th one and the second one. Okay, so I will write over here where sum is equal to ARR0 plus ARR2, right? And alert again, the sum is plus the value of sum, that is SUM, right? Now when you run this code, that is you restart your IDE, you open the test Times of India, right? I need to give the command calculate sum over here and run this. Okay, I have some error in line number 134 of user extensions.js. See, whenever you get an error, it comes like this. The line number is also highlighted. So if I go to edit plus, this is the line number over here. Okay, in 134. Right. Okay, I'm sorry. It should be like, the command is like text dot split, not split text. I take the text variable and I split it like this, text dot split. Remember, it's the string name dot the function name, because string is an object in Java. Did this in module 7 of the training. Right now we are on module 10. Okay. So let's restart IDE again. So this is why I don't use IDE. It takes a lot of time. You have to write extensions but restart it every time. Okay. When you run this now, this prints 1 plus 4. Okay. And it's not printing any alerts. Okay, I did not give the command calculate sum. Calculate sum. Fine. I will save test case. Run this. See, the first thing which is printed is 1. Okay. Why? Because in the application we have the number 1 plus 4, not 2 plus 4. It is actually 1 plus 4. So this will print 1. After that, plus will be printed. Fine. So if you go to IDE again, click OK. So plus is printed. After this, 4 will be printed, then equals to. 4 and equals to. Equals to is undefined. Okay, there must be some reason. I'll have to check that out, but let's not concentrate on that. Okay, the reason is that it is 3 over here. It should be 3. Okay, it's not 1, 2 and 4. It is 1, 2 and 3. Now after that I'm calculating the sum and I'm printing the sum is 14. Now this is wrong. This is wrong. The sum should be 5. This is because again I have to write, this is a string and this is a string. Whenever a number is read from an application, it is always read as a string. Okay, so I have to write new number ARR0 plus new number ARR2 and add them and put them in the sum. Okay, now in the end I will write Selenium dot do type, the same command. I have to type in the sum inside this input box. The XPath of this input box is this. That is, I have to type in the sum in this input box and the value of sum is this. Right? Okay. I restart my IDE. Okay. Now I will open the test and run this. 1 plus 4 equals to, the sum is 5. You see that? And as soon as I click on this, the 5 is entered into this input box. Okay. Now I'm gonna comment out all the alert statements from this because these are just for debugging purpose. And I will close the IDE and open it again. Okay, and I will insert a new command on the top. The command will be open the Times of India page. I will give the site name as timesofindia.com, and in the target I'll just give a small slash, that is open the base URL. Slash represents the base URL opening. Okay, when you run this now, timesofindia.com will be opened. Okay, some untrusted exception error. Okay, let's run this again. Alright, you can overcome this error with the help of IDE as well. I'll tell you later on how to do this. So I'll open up Times of India manually. Okay, now I will run this code again. Delete this command and run it. So when I run this, if you see the input box, see 7 plus 1 is 8 and 8 is written in this input box. So this is how you can execute simple stuff with the help of user extensions. Okay, later on we will write while loops and all and make a function in the user extensions which will be parameterizing our tests, everything.